Hey, what's up, y'all? This is MVP with Juxtaposed, and today we're going to talk about fake friendships. What do you do in a situation like that? What are the signs of fake friendships? And are you in a fake friendship yourself? Are you the one being fake? We're going to have a conversation about it today. Stay tuned. All right. So, Styles,
What's up?
I was on the lovely internet,
Not the net.
the net,
You were on
and
the web, the World Wide Web.
the World Wide Web.
People don't even say that no more.
They don't. They
Go
don't.
ahead.
I be like when I do like searching on Google, I just say I do research
Yay.
because I feel like it's old school to be like I was googling something.
Yeah.
But
Listen, as long as you're not using Ask Jeeves, you're doing all right.
wow,
Yeah,
you
good.
took it. You took
I
it.
don't even know if it exists.
You're
anymore.
right. Comment below if it still
Yeah,
exists. I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah, for
Somebody
real, we don't know.
look that up. But I was on the lovely internet and came across someone's name who I haven't heard in a while, to be honest with you.
Who's that?
Ilovemakonnen.
Who's that again?
Club going up
Something about Tuesdays.
on a Tuesday.
Trying to justify your drinking habit.
But
Sorry.
that was a lit song. Like
No, it was.
it gave everybody an excuse to feel better about drinking on Tuesdays.
True.
When everybody
did.
already knows they were drinking on Tuesday.
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah. It did.
So he released a post, and I'm going to read the post, and then we're going to start talking about how we feel about the post and everything that's going on in it, right?
All right, let's do it.
All right. So he posted. I love how they just give you like dates and everything.
Oh, they give you dates?
Yeah. So he posted this in August 4th.
Okay.
So he says, I'm him, and I've been here. I ain't do shit to y'all. Y'all turned y'all back on me and held hands together. Unfollowed me and everything. Now y'all see me with YB, which is Young Boy,
Mm-hmm.
the realest dude on earth, and start hitting me up like it's all good. Damn, that shit painful to see. Especially after we came up together in Atlanta in 2014. Then he tagged the people he was, just so you're not confused, he tagged exactly who he was talking to. He added Post Malone, Swae, Metro Boomin,
Damn.
and he added NBA Youngboy, which is funny because he's the guy who's the realest dude, right? So he's like, hey, I mentioned you.
Maybe he meant that as like, see, I'm on with this guy. Y'all faked on me.
I just don't know why he tagged Youngboy,
Yeah.
like just to see
This
what he's
seems
doing.
like this seemed like the fit of rage. But go ahead.
So then, he took screenshots of the DMs, which is pretty much the norm now.
I get so tired of that, man. The DM. Like I say once again, 21 Savage said it right. You know, I bet you don't have no 21 Savage DMs.
Nah.
Yeah,
He's
I wonder
staying
why.
away from that. He's staying away from that. So we got one from I believe this is Metro Boomin, where he messaged them like I just want to give y'all the timeline because the question in my head is he right to feel
Mhm.
this way, right?
Okay.
So with Metro Boomin, June 1st, he replied to their story, to Metro Boomin's story, no response. Then June 20th, he said something to him, no response. And then, mind you, this is like in August now. Now, he's only screenshotting a little bit of it, so I'm assuming he might have been hitting him up a whole lot more.
Times.
But
Mhm.
Metro Boomin says, what's good, family? We got to shake the world up again, right?
But this is in August.
This is in August, after he
Okay.
ignored McConnen's advances.
First of all,
Sorry,
advances.
JK.
Just to tell
JK.
us. That's terrible.
That's not what I meant to say.
Oh my god.
So then he hit up Swae, and he's like, happy B-Day. This is like October 2018.
Okay.
Happy B-Day. Nothing. Yo. Nothing. Hey. Nothing. Sent him like his album. Sent him, I guess McConnen dropped the album in April 2021.
Oh, dude.
And sent him the album. no response.
Hmm.
And then Swae Lee the other day was like, yo, your new song go hard. I said, okay. And then this one is for Post Malone, which was kind of weird, but
Why?
okay. I'm going to read it all. So he's like, hi, can I come to your show tomorrow in Portland? These are all McConnen to them.
Okay.
This is like November 2nd.
Okay.
He's like, you're probably never going to see this. Broken heart emoji. Then he mentioned Post Malone in another thing. Post Malone didn't say anything. And then Post Malone says, I love you so much, Dad. I miss you. Thank you for the love. When we gonna jam? I don't understand why he called him Dad.
I mean, that's an inside joke.
That has to be.
Yeah, that's
either
joke.
How Post Malone talks with people, or is an inside joke because.
Wait, who said I love you, Dad? Post Malone said that?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, Post Malone said that to McConnen.
Interesting.
So now that we have the basis of what's going on in the world, my first question is, do you think McConnen is wrong for feeling the way he felt? We've seen the time span of you hitting somebody up and them not responding to you. What do you think, KStylez?
So one, there's a question before I always have a question.
Mm-hmm.
If you were cool with these people, why are you sending an Instagram DM? My thing is, for example, let's say in the future, we go off and do other things, and you're, a huge, musician, and I'm, doing podcast stuff, and I reach out to you and I'll be like, hey, it's not gonna be over DM.
Okay.
Because I have your number, right? Like my assumption. Now people change numbers a lot, and especially when you're in that game where people, you give your number to somebody, and then you could change your number a lot. So at least Instagram is one connected place, but you don't have their number at all. You don't have someone around them number. Like that brings into question the extent of your friendship in the first place.
And this is why I wonder about the music industry as a whole, because I do know a lot of people. I think DMs is like the form of like the standard form of communication at this point. Like, I even sometimes feel like I'm like, yo, maybe I should have just DM'd this person that I know on Instagram. One, because people are active on Instagram.
I guess.
It's easy, and it's easier to send things too, right? Like comment on their story, send like something that you thought was funny. I don't know if you necessarily need to do that on the phone anymore unless they're not on social media.
Okay. Well, with that clarification in mind, I don't think he's necessarily wrong to feel that way. I do want to say my understanding of the music industry is that it is a lot of, fake shit, for lack of a better word. When you're popping, everybody knows you. Everybody wants to hit you up. And if you fall off or you have issues, the phone stopped ringing, right? And then I guess the DMs get dry or whatever, whatever the kids are saying these days. I don't know. So I do believe that there is some validity to his statements. I think the reason why he fell off is I think kind of messed up.
So I want to put that on the table too, because one, if it's because of that, it's kind of messed up.
It has to be because of that. I mean, what else could it be?
So I was under the impression that he came out as gay.
And that's the reason.
Homosexual.
That's the reason why he fell off.
Now we know in hip hop that can become an issue for people.
He's just too. He was too early to that game, because what Lil Nas X has done is a whole nother ball game. I mean, honestly, it's still weird because you had what's that dude name from Isaiah Rashad?
Okay.
And
remember that.
That still was received weird. Whereas Lil Nas X just didn't care. That man is a master of promoting himself.
Yeah.
Because it didn't matter what he was doing. Like, he did, every video he did gets millions of views. And it's so I don't know if it's just about being gay, but I do know for McConnen it was. But then on top of that too, I don't know he was kind of a one-hit wonder though.
That's because I'm trying to think of
I can't think of another
other
song.
songs he's put out that people like gravitated to.
No.
Because I've heard of one song that he put out, and I saw a music video for it, but I don't think anybody like picked it up and like was running with it. So, but then again, I was wondering because I know there was this like urban myth that if Drake hops on the song of a new artist,
He kills it.
he kills, like they're not going to be around for a while. I mean, for in a little bit, they're just not going to be around.
I mean,
The only people that it didn't happen for, I think, is the Migos.
I'm about to say the Migos.
Migos was able to, The Weeknd. Like there was a whole back and forth with The Weeknd
Yeah.
and Drake at one point in time because they're like, hey, Drake's camp is kind of mad at The Weeknd because he did escape that whatever zone they think Drake creates.
Well, no,
when
but
he does
the
that.
Weeknd started on OVO. I thought.
Yeah, but he. That's the thing. No, I don't know if he started. I think he came out with
yeah.
them backing him already.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
but he didn't stay there. You know what I mean? Like he didn't stay under Drake's umbrella, for lack of a better term.
Realistically, not really. Drake is not like Cole or even Jay, whereas like there's other artists. No, Drake is like hey,
I like what you're doing over there.
Your vibe is cool, and 50 had a story about that where he's like, Drake will jump on the record and make it look like if he was on the cusp of whatever was going on, but it's just keeping him hot. But that's a whole other conversation.
But isn't that like a double look though? Like you get a look from me, and I get to continue being lit.
Hey, he said in that track with 21 Savage, I jump on this song and make your label think I need you. So it's a good look. But going back to McKonnen, I think he had that hot record and it was the hottest thing ever. And that was, I want to say, a little bit after the Trinidad James joint.
He said 2014.
Yeah, Trinidad James was a little bit around that time.
Okay.
So, I feel like he just ended up being a one-hit wonder. And one of the hardest things to do is once you have a major song like that, is to follow it up. Because everybody expects you to drop a part 2 or something of the same level, and it doesn't work that way. And honestly, if you think about it, when in moments like that, when people are no longer popping, the people who are in that industry that would need you for a favor or need you for like, yo, hop on this record now, I'm about to drop a record, I'm sure all of that slows down.
Yeah.
I'm sure all of that slows down. And that's why when people, like you see like the Kendricks of the world, like Kendrick don't care. Kendrick does whatever he wants to do, right? And I'm sure people are all on him every time he's about to drop. And when he's disappearing, are they really checking for him? So,
yeah, but I think he never actually like falls off when he disappears.
He just that man is he's like old school artist.
Okay.
But
so with McKonnen, I feel like the only reason why the people even know him is because of the business, right?
Possibly.
So like, yeah, we're cool. I'm trying to think outside of how I might personally feel. Okay, if I became cool with you through the business and then you're no longer doing business.
I mean, he was doing business though.
Well, you're no longer...
You're not popping
with the business. And the only reason why I did business with you is because you were popping. Is it wrong for that person to be like, well, you're not popping no more, and the whole reason why me and you even started communicating was because of that?
Yeah, but I think that there's an expectation because you're in a band of similar people now once you get into the music industry, and everybody's working on records, everybody's trying to figure it out. So it's very believable that, well, we have a shared struggle, right? So because of our shared struggle, you know exactly what we're getting into, blah, blah, blah. But I feel like the one thing there is that his expectation of what should have happened was incorrect because there's no love, man. Unless you're popping, there's no love. Like, and even if you're cool, unless you've developed that relationship where, like, if I were to change my number tomorrow, you would still be able to get to me.
Right, because you would have given the number.
Correct. And so to me,
Yeah.
if I can't reach you directly and DMs are the only way, there's always a possibility of, oh yeah, man, I didn't see it. And when you put it that way,
because
yeah,
then maybe the DM isn't the right mode of transportation for that communication, right?
Yeah.
Because if I'm not even checking for you, and I get, these are artists, right? I'm getting thousands of DMs a day. Maybe the only reason why they're responding now is because they were actually looking to send something to you.
Correct. And the algorithm, I call it the Zuck algorithm.
Okay.
It's all over the place.
Yeah.
Like I don't see posts from people that I actually want to see unless I star them.
That's the crazy part.
And I'm like, I don't want to see.
You show me.
I don't want to see anything about somebody I don't know when I have people I know that are posting, but they want to keep your interaction. So
and then I see it 2 weeks later, and I'm like, dang.
Yeah. And then you like it. It's like, oh, you're not supporting me. You're not paying attention. Like it just creates a weird space. So yes, I do think it feels weird that they just didn't respond for years, and now that he's popping, there's a thing, but there is somewhat of a plausible argument that can be made on the fact that Instagram is a terrible way to communicate. So, but all that said, I don't think that I don't think there's any it doesn't invalidate his feelings, because I mean, it's the game, bro. I've been as close as I've been to it. That's how it is. I remember there's one guy I made a beat for him, and then he went off and he got signed to a label. And when he was signed to that label, couldn't reach him. Couldn't reach him. Then when he got dropped from the label, yo, what's up, KStylez?
Oh,
I swear
just
to God,
like that.
I swear to God.
Just like
and I'm
that.
like, yo, you know what's crazy? I don't hold no ill will towards you. I just know when certain people are up and they're popping, it's a different person than when they're down. And if you help them when they're down, don't expect that they'll be there when you're up. It goes back to my whole conversation about not expecting things from people. Because 9 times out of 10, once you do that, you end up in a place where they don't ever meet what you expect. And then you end up getting upset, and you're in a whole place by yourself. And I've had a whole conversation about that where people are like, well, it's a very, pessimistic way of you to go about it. And I'm like, I disagree. I think the way I look at it is that if I don't have any expectations from you, anything you do, I'm grateful for. If you don't do something, I wasn't expecting anything anyway. So it's something I got from Gary Vee, and it makes so much sense to me. But I've had to argue that every time I bring it up, I have to get it. There's an argument about it every time I bring it up. But I just say I feel like McConnen's mistake is expecting that.
And to piggyback off of that, I feel like there has to be some type of understanding of are we actually friends like this? Because what I'm seeing, because when you mentioned the Instagram, hey, if he's just DMing them on Instagram, maybe he doesn't have their number.
Correct.
I'm like, for example, if we go out and party for 2-3 months straight, does that really mean that we're the bestest of friends?
No.
The closest of friends?
No.
We're probably going to be just associates. So I'm wondering if he's coming from a space where he thinks, because this goes with anything, right? Some people don't think talking and dating are the same thing, right? So if we're talking about friendships, somebody might not think, hey, if we spent this amount of time with each other, doesn't necessarily mean we're friends, because a friend would if I break down, if I'm driving and I break down on the side of the road, I can call my friend, my actual friend, to come and get me. But I'm not going to call McConnen. Even though me and him are cool, you know what I'm saying? Hey, we're cool, we hang out and stuff like that from time to time, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to hit him up when I'm down and out.
Yeah, and I think that there's always the expectation too is a different thing, especially if it's not clearly identified. I look at Drake and Yachty, I'm thinking them dudes are actual legit friends. I feel like if Yachty decided to never put out another record again, it wouldn't change their friendship from the outside. I don't know. I can't say that from I don't know them, but you can assume that trying to think of two random people, Kanye and Pharrell.
Okay.
I
They're
don't see
both
them
into fashion
They,
at this point.
you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't see them necessarily being. They've worked together on records. That don't mean that they're like best buds. Like, I don't. Also, I still don't see Kanye DMing.
And
it's a weird thing. It seems like your expectation of this is higher than what it was, and honestly, I think part of it is it's 100% messed up because I 100% know that. Let me say that. I said that too short.
100%.
I assume 100%.
Okay. How can you assume 100%?
That the reason why that there's any change in that interaction is
Okay.
because he came out as gay, which I think is messed up. He was the one artist people don't want to touch.
Yeah.
Until now he's popping and like, oh, someone else did it. Which goes into a whole nother height, like societal thing from people where people are like, yeah, I don't want to be the first one seen with this person, but like, oh, someone else did. Like, no,
then now I can hop
that's
on the
my
bandwagon.
boy.
Yeah,
we go way back.
Yeah,
I was like, to me, that's fake though. I'm sorry. I'm letting everybody know if it's anything like that where we fell off and you came back and like, oh, yo, we go way back. I'm gonna tell you straight, bro. I'll move like that, bro. I'll move like that.
So, okay. So with his situation, you're meeting so many people every day. So is that really fake when you think about the amount of people that you have to befriend and network with? Like this ain't like he's like, met this one person and then they just hang out forever, right? Like you're literally traveling the world, you're shaking hands with everybody. I don't think you can so I really want to address the fake part. Because I'm like, I don't know if that's fake. If there's so many people you can't be friends with everybody. You can't be responsive to everybody in that type of situation. I feel like.
You know what? You called it out in the conversation you had earlier.
Okay.
Friends for specific things. Like you said, if I hang out with this guy months on end, doesn't mean that if my car breaks down, I'm gonna call him.
Right. Okay.
And I think that people need to be very conscious of the fact that this person is a friend from work, and they haven't crossed that barrier. They may,
right,
but for the most part, this person's a friend from work, a friend from wherever, a friend from church, a friend. It doesn't mean that just because the friend there part happened that you automatically open them up to everything. It's like there's a lot of people, like we actually physically work in the same place. There's a lot of people that I'm cool with, but I know for a fact once they leave, there's a likelihood of them not hearing from them again. And then they're like, oh, well, no, I'm definitely gonna hit you up. I'm like, I don't expect it. Going back to my statement,
I would say that's probably the fake part.
What?
Is gaslighting that person into thinking y'all gonna be cool.
Well,
even after this arrangement is done.
Well, I don't see. The thing is, I don't think in most cases it's ever done intentionally.
Okay.
Like, I don't think someone's like, oh yeah, as soon as I leave, I'm not talking to that person again. And but tell them, hey,
stay in touch.
Yo, we're gonna say. Well, some people do that. Some people do that. I do.
I feel weird with it.
That part, some people do, and I don't get down with that. I'm just like, you fake. You fake for that one.
That's the fake part I'm talking
If
about.
we never had no conversation, and you're leaving job or you're leaving a place where you're not gonna see me again, he's like, oh yeah, make sure we get lunch. I'm like, bro, we worked in the same place for 2 years. We never got lunch. Why do we want to get lunch?
We never got lunch. We never stayed in touch while we were here.
There's a space about that.
Okay.
That's networking. Keep your network open because you never know. Because you kept that door open, you may go apply to another job, see that person now works there, be like, hey, buddy, I'm looking at the job here. Let me know what you think about it. I did that. There's people that I looked at, that they were places that I was interested in. I'm like, what's the deal there? Like, is it as good as it sounds? And then it gives you the inside information. So that's what I'm saying. I think it needs to be very clear on you're in a circle. What are people that you just met and you're cool. You don't mind hanging out. Like I had friends that I just go out with. Like we just go out and party. Well, we used to go out and party, right? And that's the thing. And so I think that we've gotten to this place where people don't know how to make that determination. So they end up in a place where they think that if they don't reciprocate exactly what they expect from a friend, then it's fake. And I'm like, no, there are some fake friends there in the world, without a question. There are people who will pretend to be a friend and talk shit about you behind your back. You know, if there's opportunities, they would actually block you from it. That's a fake friend. Somebody who is, you know, leaving a space and saying, oh yeah, let's keep in touch, but never actually reach out. I feel like that's a little bit more the human experience than anything else. I don't necessarily call that fake.
So, all right, we're going to do this in two parts.
All right.
Because I want to stay on the what is a fake friend, right?
Okay.
And so we got a couple signs. And
Oh,
I want to
shit.
know if these things are accurate in your mind, and I'll speak on mine too, right? Because you said some things, right? So
This man came with a list. All right, go ahead.
because we're not playing games in Juxtaposed. We got to get to the bottom of these conversations.
Okay.
So we got, they don't support you.
Okay.
They're overly competitive with you, which is interesting because I do think there is a level of healthy competition in any relationship. But okay, they make you feel bad about yourself. I'm like, interesting. They turn others against you, which that one I think is self-explanatory.
I think in the last two, you're getting into the fake territory, but continue.
Okay. They always need attention, which I'm like, yeah, I don't.
That's a personality trait.
Right. They peer pressure you.
That's also not.
That's not. I don't know. We'll keep going.
Yeah.
They're narcissistic, which means they're always
talking about themselves.
Think about themselves. They just all about themselves. Now, this one is interesting. They're jealous of you.
So there's a couple of these, right?
Yeah.
I think that the overly competitive with you, that's probably not necessarily a bad thing. I think that, as you said, there's a level of healthy competition. But if you realize it's competition to the point where you're actually cutting and moving opportunities for me, then that's where you traverse the fake part.
So, for example, hey, we're at a job, and I'm like, yeah, man, I hope you get the promotion or whatever it is. And then you go behind the scenes to like the boss and be like, yeah, I don't really think MVP is
fake. That's fake as hell.
That's fake.
That's fake. That's 100% fake. But that's the turn others against you. It kind of fits in that. To make you feel bad about yourself is also, I think, a bad friend. Not that you have to get to the point where you're like, I'm not gonna lie to you, make you feel good about yourself in a case where you probably should be doing better. And I would never want that for somebody. Like, oh yeah, you know what, man, you know, the way you do XYZ is exactly how it should be done, knowing that it's incorrect. I would much rather my friend be like, hey, just giving you an outside opinion here. That's not the right way to go about it. And I think if your friends aren't doing that for you, then are they actually your friends?
And I would say how you receive it too. Because if I'm a friend and I'm saying, hey, you know, out of love and respectfully, that you could do better in this situation, and you're like, you know what? You always was jealous of me. I'm like, whoa, what does that have to do with anything I just said?
I think that's a loaded conversation. Because I do think that there is a point of this where you have to be used to getting that feedback from that person.
Okay.
Because if you're like, hey, I'm the biggest thing of my life happened, and the first thing you hear from somebody when you come off is like, you kind of dropped the ball on that. You're like, what are you talking about? Everybody's applauding, you know. And without the context, it just sounds like you're jealous. It just sounds like, oh well, I did well, and now
you're trying to find
something to shut me down.
Okay.
So yeah. So there's a couple of these things where it's like, yeah, the one going back to they don't support you.
Yeah.
Throw it out the window.
Throw it out the window. Why?
That's not a fake friend thing.
Okay.
Just because I feel like in this day and age, there's I'm gonna stop using the word expectation. I think I use it too much now. But there's like a requirement that, okay, well, if you're friends, it automatically means that I'm gonna do everything to invest time into you the way that I would want time invested into me. And that's not
Mm,
it's not how it works, right? Like a lot
right.
of times people are there for you. Society is there for the large moments. The Super Bowl concert, the Super Bowl, effect where
Uh,
or the presidential election. Like
mm,
people don't vote every year, everything. People don't watch everybody doesn't watch all the games in
okay.
football or
Mm-hmm.
all the games in the NBA finals, but you're watching NBA finals.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Okay.
don't and this is just my way of looking at it. It's like you're more likely to have some random person in the middle of Kansas who doesn't know you
Mhm.
support you more than the person that grew up with you every day.
And I don't know how I feel about that
It's a tough one.
because yeah, I've seen that where I've seen people who I'm friends with like repost stuff from somebody I've never even heard you even mention before, right? Especially if it's someone you hang out with a lot. You never even mentioned this person. But I'm thinking in my mind, they're probably showing them love because they want to be accepted by that person. And
Well,
I've already accepted you, so you're not going to repost my stuff because you don't need to get me accept.
I,
You don't need no acceptance
I
from
don't
me.
think it's even that. I think it's that people. There's a couple things.
Okay.
I think when someone's seen you from the beginning, and they see you out there doing things and starting to get success in however you categorize it.
Okay.
I think there's a space of that then they turn it to be about, well, damn, this person's out there really doing it. Like, what am I doing with my life? And
Mm,
I think that makes people uncomfortable. It takes a different type of person to be like, oh man, they're out there doing it. Support them. Like, I salute them. Like, they're actually doing it and it's motivating. Right. And I think at a certain point, you have to cultivate your friends if that's what you care about
okay.
to match that. Right. And it's like, I look like at my group of friends. I mean, even to the fact that the people like you and Aaron and
Mm,
everybody else in crowd who was like, this dude had an idea and now like we're gonna grow, we believe in this idea, we're gonna do it together.
right.
That's a that's abnormal to me
Okay.
because most people we just asking for people to like a freaking post. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's the lowest amount of effort and people don't do it. So it's like I think, but I tell you what happens though. You start seeing this on TV or you see somebody, it's popping somewhere,
Yeah.
then everybody's gonna be like, yo, look at my boy. Yo, we've been down with them from the beginning. I was
Right.
like, yo, you go look at their YouTube subscriptions. They ain't subscribed.
They're not even
They're
subscribed.
not subscribed. But you know what? It's the need, to your point,
Mm.
it's a need to be part of the pack. And as you start something new, you're outside. You're like, okay, well, they don't know if it's gonna be successful or not. You're literally, it's like a plane on the runway about to take off. It's like we all assume it's gonna take off.
Mm.
But if it just keeps running, then what, right? Like it's like, oh well, the plane never lifted off, so nobody knows. And I think one of the crazy things is I think people also don't want to tie themselves to something that looks like it's failing.
And I knew you was going to say that because I think if you're a real friend,
It shouldn't matter.
it shouldn't matter,
It
bro.
shouldn't
Like
matter.
if this now, there's a difference if like your friend is asking you to invest like $5,000 into something that could fail. That's a little different than hey, like show that you like what I'm into type thing. Like hey, post it or come to like some people who are artists. Hey, like hey, I got an art show. Go to the art show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even if that person doesn't become the biggest artist known in the world, still go to those things. Still show love, support, or even I would say even just asking them, hey, I ain't heard much music from you lately. How's it going? Hey, I ain't seen you do like say if they're into fashion. Hey, I ain't seen you made any new clothes lately. How's it? There's so many different ways to support that it's hard for me to be like, oh, you're scared, not scared, but like you're concerned that if you give too much love to this thing that I'm interested in and it might fail, and now you're associated with failure.
Well, it goes back to people's own motivation in life. Like I remember in multiple situations in my life, people have told me I should focus on one thing or the other. So like for me,
Mhm.
I feel like I do a bunch of things. Like DJ, I do, music, I do production, like I rap, I do a bunch of shit. And I remember in multiple situations, somebody would tell me to not do something based on what they needed from me. So one guy was like, "Hey," I'm like, "Yo, I DJ." He's like, "Oh, but you're good with the camera stuff, so just do the camera stuff." And I'm like,
Trying to box you in.
"But the camera stuff is not as good as I do with the DJ stuff. Like literally, I invested more time." She's like, "Yeah, but no, you need that." I had another person
Mm.
who was like, "Oh, you should just stick to production." And I'm like, "Why?" Because he's a rapper, and he's like, "Well, if he's just doing production, then I have somebody giving me beats."
Okay.
Um,
Well, that is an actual thing. Like, even if you think of like the workforce, some people don't want you to move to, like, say, if you move to a different department, they don't want you to move to that different department if that means you're not going to be a rock star for them anymore.
I think that
So,
is a failure, a failure in leadership.
okay.
That's we're going off the topic.
Yeah,
Here.
you're going to talk, but
Yeah, but to
yeah.
me, my thing is, if I have somebody working on my team, I bring them up, we build them up, and they get promoted to another team. To
Okay.
me, there's two things happen there. One, it means I did something well
hmm
because this person has clearly. I mean, it's not all on me. Like, and that person worked too, but the mentoring and coaching that happened led them to being a candidate for somewhere else to go on and do their own thing. And the truth is, outside of slavery, you don't have no choice of keeping someone in a position.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
someone can decide, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to go out and cut hair.
Mhm.
And I'm just going to quit my job and go cut hair. And that, nothing you can do about that. So while
Yeah.
somebody's working with you, you want to support them. You want to be, an ally so that when they do decide to leave, okay, cool. Well, deuces. And I've had people leave under negative circumstances. And it's always like, but why?
Mhm.
Why did you make this so uncomfortable for now? Because when I see you next time, I don't want to talk to you.
Yeah.
So,
And I think that goes back to what you're saying about keeping in mind the networking thing,
correct.
right?
It's hard.
Because that person, even though they're leaving you, sad face, right? But they could be going to another position that could be a good look for you down
And
the line.
you never know
So,
how the turntables turn. And that's why it's funny when you look at, like, my analogy with the dude that I produced a beat for, that when he got signed, wasn't responding to messages, wasn't responding to texts, nothing.
mhm.
You don't know what's going to happen. And you never know what's going to go on in life. You can have a streak of 10 terrible years and one good year. And in that good year, how you treat people is going to affect you for the next 10 years. Because you could have another 10 years that are bad after that. And if you're true and authentic to yourself, you don't have to do anything fake to even like mess up that reputation. Because it's like, hey, no, yo, listen, I'm letting you know I'm busy, bro. I got a lot of stuff going on. I'll get back to you. Especially knowing that the beat that I made for you helped you get this record deal. I never asked for money. I never asked for recognition. I didn't even ask to come to the studio. But you're not going to hit me back? Like, come on.
So when things like that happen, I've noticed that people have used the, hey, I'm out here living my life and I'm busy. Maybe I have kids. Maybe I'm married. Maybe I moved from this place to this place, so I'm moving. And they almost try to make you feel like it's selfish of you to feel like they're not being a friend to you enough because they're never they're not responsive and I guess they're busy, right? Do you think that train of thought can be applied? Like, do you, or if it's right to apply that train of thought? Like, hey, I'm living my life. If I don't talk to you for a year, even though you've been consistently hitting me up, that doesn't make me a messed up person. It doesn't make me a messed up friend. It's just I'm busy with life.
But here's goes back to my lack of expectations thing, because when you're dealing, people's lives change, right? So when you're dealing with somebody and their life changes, you have to be understanding of that.
Right.
So if you have a friend who has a kid, you know that you're probably going to see this person less.
Yeah.
because there's a
Definitely.
kid in play, even a dog. Because the person used to be able to come out and stay out and go out late without any considerations. Now you're like, I got to pick up the dog and take it out. So,
Yeah.
and I don't want to make the comparison between a child and a dog because people do that all the time. I don't like it. But there's a circumstance in your life now that's changing how you operate. And I think as a friend, you should be able to say, okay, well, I know this person and I know how they get. So I'll give them some time. One of the ones that is very, very challenging to deal with sometimes is if this person gets in a relationship and you never see them again.
That's a real thing.
But at the end of the day, if that's how they get down, that's how they get down. Some people like to be all into their, that their relationship. I personally don't necessarily think that's the greatest way of doing it. But if that's how you give it up, that's how you give it up. It doesn't mean that now you're a bad friend or a fake friend. It just means that your focus now is primarily on your significant other, and whenever you pull your head up again, we'll be cool still.
And that's my caution too, though, because I'm like, you can approach it like that, but am I wrong for being like, well, don't come back over here when something goes wrong over there? Like, if you're, which that's the like middle ground of like, well, a real friend would like accept me back when I'm down. But I'm like, but when you were up, you no longer banged with me.
Yeah.
Because of whatever, and let's keep it blanket, whatever the situation is.
Yeah.
Whatever the situation is. When you were feeling good about whatever you were doing, I didn't exist. Now, if you came back while everything was up, then I'd be like, okay, what's up, friend? But if you come back and you're down, you're only down, then that starts looking fake to me.
So yeah, I think there is every situation needs to be assessed individually, and everyone needs to pay attention to what's happening.
Okay.
In a specific situation, I think in a case where you see something directly like that, where it's like you we're all good, and then like an influx of money, you win the lottery, and then all of a sudden now the person's like, oh no, they win the lottery. Oh yeah, no, I'm changing my number. You can't hit me up anymore. Then you're like, okay, cool. Then they lose all the money and they come back and you're like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm not messing with that person. Because how you behave when you're up is very clear your true intentions. So
because
I would agree that's fake.
So you would agree
I would agree that's fake. Because the thing about it is that means that you only valued our relationship based on what I could give you. And if you have more and I can't give you anything, then
I mean, I've even seen that in situations where like, I used to like throw parties and stuff. And some of my friends is like, yo, they're only friends with you because you throw parties. And I'm like, I don't know. I think they really bang with me. And then there was a period of time where I stopped throwing parties, and those people weren't around. And I'm like, is this fake?
See,
is this fake?
I don't think that's fake.
Okay,
I don't think that's fake because I think there is a group of people, and this is where people just need to be authentic and transparent. Okay. There's a group of people that you only hang out with when you're in specific situations.
Okay. Yeah,
so if you're throwing a party and you throw parties, well, you're a party promoter, so I know when I need to hang out and go to a party.
Okay.
You're the guy.
Right.
It doesn't mean that you're gonna be the person I call. Like you said it earlier, you're not gonna be the person I call if I need somebody to pick me up, or somebody, my car broke down. Can you get, that's not. You gotta know your groups of people and apply the appropriate label. And then also, you have to constantly, it's just like you do spring cleaning. You got to change. Sometimes those people don't belong to be in the box of close friend. And that's fine. And I think if people did that more often, you would end up in a place where you didn't feel like, oh, everybody's against me. I mean, I think of one of my friends. She told me from the beginning, it's like, hey, I am terrible with keeping up with people after I leave somewhere. Like after I don't see you every day, I'm terrible at keeping in contact with people. After she told me that, I'm like, I can't be mad when I don't hear from you from 8 months.
Well, that sounds like that's not fake then.
No, it's like, hey, listen, I am terrible at it. And honestly, I'm kind of terrible at it. So I understood. But I think as a friend, you should be able to say, hey, this is what happens with me. And that should be fine. It shouldn't be like I should be forcing you to fit into an idea of friendship that I have. It should be like, well, what does this person need? And how can I fit them into, it sounds weird to say it like that, but fit them into the bucket that appropriately assigned to them. And knowing at some point that may change. It may change to the point where it's like, hey, you know, this person is somebody, every time I see them, it doesn't matter what's going on, I drop everything and we hang out. And then I don't hear them for them another 8 months. To me, I think especially now, especially after 2020 and 2021, where we were forced to be kind of like put in one place and emotionally drained and socially drained.
Everybody was trying to figure it out.
It's like we were, you know, we were like on some. Have you seen The Flash?
What
the new movie?
Oh, the new movie.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, it's not to give it away, but there's a point.
No
where
spoilers.
The point where he was running, but then he started running backwards.
Okay.
But he's running so fast forward that he was running backwards.
Okay.
And I feel like that's what happened with us with COVID. It's like we were going, everyone's running forward, and then all of a sudden, and now we're running backwards. And it's like, what the hell is going on? And we're trying to figure it out. So I don't know, man. I think that at the core, people should be doing this level of analysis on their friends on a regular basis. Is this person really a friend? Is this person who actually somebody I can rely on for this? The person I can rely on for advice for this? Does this person give me objective advice when I need them? Because sometimes people you go to, they tell you stuff and you're like, that's not really good advice.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that they're bad people. It's just that means that their point of view doesn't align with what you're looking for. And honestly, they may give you advice that you didn't need at the time.
It might come back
around. It might be like, yo, you know what? I said that. Like 21 Keys used to tell me all the time, you need to do this, da 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 da. I don't understand what he was talking about. And it was like, I think I always give him credit because he's definitely one of the people I feel like saw what I was trying to be and helped me push me in that direction, even when I didn't even realize what he was doing.
Okay.
And we had points where I didn't talk to him for years. We're still friends. That's my brother. And I think that it doesn't really matter what happens in that situation. Even if we've had full-on blowouts, there's a point where we'll be fine again.
And so 2 parts, because you said a lot. The first part is the analysis, which I think is important because I remember a time where I didn't do the analysis and I was kind of just like friends with whoever was just around me.
Yeah.
Not necessarily like even weighing their character. It was just like, hey, your friend's a friend and we're all hanging out and we just kind of like, so there was no like boundaries set. But once I started understanding and doing analysis, I realized within myself that I wasn't as upset about things anymore.
Yeah.
Because I know where this person fits. So to go back to what you're saying with your boy 21 Keys, I got friends who, if I don't talk to them in like a year, I still know that that's my dog. That's my dog. Like I know that for a fact. I think the issue I run into is that I'm not sure about some of those people that I don't have that relationship with. So when they don't respond to me or I don't talk to them for a while, I start to get in my feelings. And I've thought about that with myself. It's like, well, why this person you accept it?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I think I accept it because I know that's my dog. Like I know in my heart that's my dog, right? But this person, we cool, but I don't know if that's my dog. And then so when we don't talk, I get in my feelings a little bit. And I'm like, when I start doing the analysis, I'm like, well, they don't fit in that bucket. So what's really causing you to have these feelings? It's like, dang, therapy, right? like therapy with yourself. So you gotta have therapy with yourself sometimes. It's like, well, if I realize, oh, they don't even belong in that's my dog bucket, then this is fine. But you have to get to that point, I guess.
Do you go in, and this is a hard question. We've gone a lot all over the place in this one. Do you have requirements of what certain friendships should look like to yourself? Now, because I don't know if you like, I don't know. It's a weird thing. I don't know if we ever like I don't tell you, hey, I require you to do this, right? Because that also goes against my whole no expectations thing.
Yeah.
But like, there's a certain there's a baseline. Like, okay, cool. Well, I know that there's going to be a level of respect. And that's why I think the expectation thing always causes problems, because they're like, you're expecting that they'll respect you. And I'm like, I'm not expecting it. I just know that like I move in a way where you either respect it or you don't. If you don't respect it, then I check you off and you get out of here, right?
I think it's one of those things like where for me is a little bit unspoken, which I think maybe we do need to sit down
these conversations,
and
man.
have those conversations and think about what the expectations is, maybe in another show, right? But I guess my thing is the way I was raised is probably molded my quote unquote requirements and expectations, right? So for example, you should be respectful, right? Just in general. Like you should be respectful to your friends, right? Like you can make your jokes or whatever, but you also have to know where the line is. And so to pull somebody who I would be concerned being friends with, this is going to throw you off.
I'm waiting for this.
Queen Flip.
Okay.
Some of the things he does, I'm like, yo, if he was my friend, we probably would be wrecking. And
like what?
Fighting. Like he played too much. And
he's a comedian.
That's fine. But when I interact with people, I play to a certain level and then I cut it off. But with Flip, I feel like he plays too much.
Okay.
I feel like I said the same thing, but I think everybody understands what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You've been around people who play too much and they always playing too much. And I'm like, I don't think I've ever made that a requirement. Like, hey, if I'm going to be friends with this person, they can't play too much.
Yeah.
But I do know that I'm kind of drawn to people who have that emotional intelligence and that level of play. They know when to be serious, or they even know how to read my emotions and, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. So I'm like, I never really thought like, hey, this is what I require, but I do have an understanding of certain things I don't like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
and I think that there's the human experience. We teach people how to treat you in interactions. So like when somebody we've all had the situation where someone thought they were very comfortable with you and they said something crazy and you had to be like, hey, I'm gonna let you know
you're a little too comfortable.
You better act right, right? And sometimes that comes in more violent ways than others, right? Like sometimes I've had full on like, bro, we're gonna have to step outside moments because you think this is a joke and I'm not playing. And they're like, oh, you getting so emotional. I'm like, yeah, but I feel strongly about this, so yes.
And then as a person who's your friend or whatever should be able to, like, if you said that, I shouldn't take that offensively. I should, but I think some people don't want to, and this comes with the friends, like, what do you want to accept? Because it's like, hey, oh, you're making me feel bad that I made you feel this type of way. And it's like, it's not that, it's this, you made this person feel this way, and at least have an understanding to see where they're coming from. You don't even have to agree. You can just see where they're coming from and be like, okay, well, when I interact with this person, maybe I shouldn't do these certain things. It's not a slight on your character. What's a slight on your character is if you turn it around
and make it about you.
Like try to put it on them, like, oh, well, you're being emotional. And it's like, so me voicing my concern about something is me being emotional? You're gaslighting me at that point.
Yeah.
Are you thinking about past relationships and friendships?
No, I was trying to figure out because I'm like, The word we've kind of added gaslighting to our
Vocabulary.
regular, lexicon.
Because I didn't know it was a thing until I knew it was a
and
thing.
then you realize that it's like it's like the word toxic. It gets thrown around a lot. And you're like, yes, it's the right usage, but goddamn, bro, like everything
Is everything gaslighting?
Yeah.
Right.
So that's kind of where I was like responding in my head. I'm like, how would I want to go? I do think that we're at the place right now, and maybe it's an age thing.
Okay.
Because I feel like when I was in my 20s, I expected everybody to do things from a friend standpoint. Like I would interact with people and like, oh, this is a person. We went out, got drinks, we went to the club a couple times. I text them, every now and again. So that means we're cool, and I expect this person to be the person when, a relative passes away that I, would reach out. It's like that's not how that works.
Mm.
And it's a hard thing to accept because you're like, well, dang, I would do that for you.
I think that's the big thing is because I've ran into that issue of feeling like, oh, I would do this for this person, but this person wouldn't do this for me.
Yeah.
Which vice versa, there's probably situations where they felt like that with
Correct.
me. But I don't know if everyone has those conversations with their friends. Because one, you don't, because this always have two parts. The one part is you don't want to come off as needy or clingy, right? So you don't want to like always be nagging on that person like, yo, I want you to do this, I expect this and that. But then there's another part of you also don't want to be vulnerable.
Why?
Well, as a black man,
listen,
I've been raised in environments where you're supposed to be tough with everything. So like even if I feel like, oh, you're not a great friend, me telling you that is a vulnerability that I'm giving you insight into. That I actually like the way you're interacting with me actually makes me feel some type of way.
So I want to tell you something, and it's controversial, and I think we probably should have had this part earlier in the conversation.
Okay.
But vulnerability is a true strength.
Okay.
Being able to turn on like being vulnerable in situations, to me it's a true strength. If you look at it, a lot of cases people operate off of ego and how, you gotta, respect my authority. And
my
it's
authority.
Like, and the thing about it is sometimes you need to be able to like, well, this person doesn't, but why? Or this person makes me feel a certain way, but why?
But why? Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, if you're not doing that kind of analysis, you're ending up making decisions based on feelings. And those feelings are normally fleeting and can affect a whole lifetime. You can make a whole set of decisions based on something simple and change your whole life.
Yeah.
So I don't say when I say vulnerability is a strength, it doesn't mean you go out there and like, you go out and just like bare your feelings to the world and but I think that you should also be very comfortable with the fact that, hey, this makes me feel a way. And like this idea too, like we have to be hard all the time, bro. Like it's what leads to a lot of the unnecessary issues. Especially, this is a whole other thing with black men that we feel like we gotta touch. But go ahead.
Well, because sidebar, I came across something. I can't remember where I came across it, but the guy was being vulnerable with the woman, right? On the first date.
Okay.
And he was like, he poured his heart out. I think he might have had a couple tears. And so, like, fast forward, he was like, hey, had a great time. When can we do this again? And the lady was like, you know what? I'm good. Like, you did a whole lot of crying and all this other stuff, and I just wanted some D. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, well, don't we want to see more vulnerableness from people so we can have more understanding of them? And I'm like, she kind of went on them. She kind of like.
But the thing about it is, goes back to the choosing the people correctly in the right buckets. Because if you go to somebody who is prone to toxicity,
okay,
and expect them to understand what being in a well-balanced relationship looks like, it's never gonna work. I remember there was one one young lady, as you say, that I dealt with,
Okay.
that she thought love meant we're gonna fight, and love meant if you see somebody who finds me attractive in a grocery store and they say something, that you need to go downstairs and fight them. And I'm like, I'm not a barbarian, bro.
Yes, right.
I'm not
Like,
doing that for because now, once again, going back to the emotion part, you can change your whole life. Because I get into a fight with this dude, I knock him out, he dies, then I'm going to jail. You don't have
or vice versa.
correct.
So
Or this person, yeah, like he pulls out a gun, shoots me.
yeah,
Was it worth the you know what I'm saying? Like,
just so you can feel loved.
that's not how you feel love. But people, the truth is, a lot of people need to go to therapy. I think everybody should go to therapy. I mean, I say it all the time, and I say I know, like, I feel hypocritical because I haven't been to therapy in a while.
Okay.
But I know what it did for me to get me to where I'm at.
Does it count? Because I've been thinking about this for a while. Does it count
No.
I didn't even say it yet.
Go ahead, finish your statement.
Having therapy with my friends.
No.
Why?
I knew that's where you're gonna go. That's why I said no. Because your friends have too much information and their own perspectives of you to give you unbiased opinion. And that doesn't mean you can't get a terrible therapist that doesn't give you right information, right?
Okay.
But I feel like the idea with a therapist is that you go to somebody who can give you an outside perspective that is supposed to be completely unbiased. Your friends are going to be biased for you
or against you.
or against you, depending on depending on what their thoughts are, and they're not a trained professional.
I try to find a loophole.
Nope. I knew when the time you started asking that question, I knew where you're going. But I think a lot of people do need therapy, and I think that would also help with a lot of the problems here, because if you stop sometimes and analyze, well, dang, what did my part play in this issue or this situation? I don't think people do that a lot of times.
And I wanted to talk about that because I'm like, to the listeners and viewers, are you the fake friend? Do you like, and I actually, as I was thinking about this stuff, I'm like, am I a fake friend? I'm trying to find a moment where I probably was fake. And I'm like,
you know what? In your lifetime, there's probably someone that's going to say you were.
That you were, right?
And there's some, but then it's, once again, it goes back to what I just said. It's like, well, did you think about what your part was to play in that?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I'm not saying that you should spend your whole life thinking about every single thing that every interaction. Like, who ain't got time for all of that, bro? But
that's gonna be a tough one.
Yeah, but at the same time, there is something to be said about, thinking through situations and seeing, well, maybe you did something incorrect. And having the honesty and the vulnerability to own up to that, because that's to me part of the vulnerability. I messed up in this situation. What did I do wrong? How can I not make this mistake again? Because sometimes you're not able to fix it, right? Like, it's not a fixing thing. That's dud. But that's dead. I said that's dud.
That's dud.
Yeah, but same thing. It's a dud.
Both work. So to piggyback off what you just said, then I feel like at least if the attempt is made, because like you said, you might not be able to fix it, right? But I do believe in and this is just for me. I always say this so I can sleep better at night, even though I don't sleep better at night. But to sleep better at night for that situation, I've learned that it's better to just put it on the table than leave it off the table. For example, I've had situations with some young ladies, and I was telling my boy about it, and I was like, yo, I'm gonna apologize to her. He's like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't apologize. I'm like, why? And he's like, because you give up your power.
It's not, that's wrong.
And I'm like, well, if I feel like I was wrong in a certain situation, I should be man enough, or if it's a woman enough to take responsibility, even if it's not even that like crazy what it was, like maybe I'm not even that wrong, but I made you feel a certain type of way, and that wasn't my intention. So at least let me apologize for making you feel a certain type of way.
I think that we are adults, and taking responsibility for actions should be a requirement. If somebody says something that you don't like, at least be able to have the conversation. Like, hey, I don't like that you said this, and that person should be like, you know what, I didn't really mean it that way. That's not what that's not what I intended. So I apologize. Like, it's not a power thing, and that's the thing. And that's some old school shit, for lack of a better word, where it's like, oh, I have to regain my power, which is why the running stereotype that women don't apologize for stuff is a thing still, or they're never wrong. And I'm like, there's no way in heaven or in hell that any person on this planet could never be wrong. I don't leave it to this planet because it's you can go all over.
All over. So to bring it back to McKonnen, I'm like, in that situation, because he did I'm like, what was that?
Oh, it's an air freshener.
Yo, y'all know those air fresheners that
Yeah,
kind of like, sometimes when that goes off, it scares me. I'm like, whoa, what was that? But in that situation, should he have had a conversation with Post Malone and them? Because I don't really like the exposing it on the internet, screenshots and stuff like that, because like we said earlier, if that communication didn't happen, or your expectation is up here and their expectation is down here, you might have just burned a relationship that was perfectly fine, right?
Well,
like,
on top of that too, I would jump in and say he's fake for this.
ooh.
And I'll tell you why I think he's fake for this. Because if you were as cool with these people and, whatever, they stopped messing with you for a while, and now you're up again and you're reaching out, I'd be like, hey, when I see you, we gonna talk. Yo, matter of fact, you reach out, yo, link me, bro. Call me one time. Because I know you just sent me the message. Sure,
they just reached out.
Yo, hit me up. Or, yo, I'm gonna be at this show. Like, come up. And then when I see you, be like, yo, what's up, bro?
Yeah, you can have the conversation.
Like, doing it online, I think that's fake.
And I don't know how much up he is, but how, like, I would say this to him. I'm like, if you act like that now with just a little taste of being up,
that's what I'm saying.
Other people are going to see that and be like, well,
bro,
maybe we were right to distance ourselves from you. Because as soon as you get a little taste of being lit, look how you expose people that you said were supposedly your friends.
The irony is that we don't even need to we don't even need to go that deep, because if he hadn't done that, we wouldn't be having this conversation. So to me, I feel like he did that to create buzz.
Thanks for the content.
Which is, I appreciate it. But at the same time, I feel like he's as fake as they are in his mind, because he's only doing this to expose. Like, what you talking about, bro?
To expose them. And they bring it to the music industry. And I'm like, one thing I wanted to say with this music industry stuff is the same stuff happens in, like, quote unquote real life.
Yeah.
Like, having to figure out if this person's a fake friend or not. It's so, like, they put a lot on the industry, and I'm like, these are still human beings. Like, they're not robots.
Human beings with money, and everybody thinks that everybody's doing whatever to keep them happy.
Everybody's doing that. And when you realize, because I've realized that with me and my friends, I'm like, yo, everybody's going to do what is in their best interest, right?
Yep.
And they're like, oh, well, that's selfish and narcissistic. I'm like, to a certain extent, though, like, you still have to have empathy and understanding of other people's things. But at the core of just surviving and wanting to be alive, you have to do what's in your best interest.
Yeah. And
I'm like, there has to be a middle ground where you and that other person can align your interests for both of y'all to grow and be happy, right? So for example, McKonnen could have took this situation and made a song with Post Malone, Swae Lee, got a couple deep, like, dope beats from Metro Boomin, and build himself up again.
But that's what I'm saying. I think that's why it's funny, because as you started describing this stuff, I was like, yeah, no, he's the fake one in this situation. Because he twist. He really is using this to create a viral story, to show up on, Shade Room, to show up, and you're doing it on what would have been the backs of the people who you were cool with, and you said you were cool with and you were reaching out with. Yeah, that's fake,
and he named 3 people specifically, which I feel like those were the 3 people who reached out. Like, I don't know if other people reached out, or maybe he's using it because everybody knows who Post Malone's. Like, I still think Post Malone and Swae Lee are still, and Metro Boomin are still
Yeah.
Like
Metro Boomin just killed that Spider-Man.
relevant.
Yeah.
So I'm like, he's taking it. Now that you mentioned that, now I'm thinking in reverse, because at first I was thinking, okay, are they being fake because of that situation? Of them not responding and kind of drifting off and then coming back. But now I'm like, as you reversed it, Uno card, I'm like, dang, maybe he's being fake.
You know what? I look at it this way. It's like if you look at LinkedIn when you see somebody get a job posting, and you're like, oh, congratulations.
Mhm.
That don't mean you care about them getting the job per se. You're just happy that they got something. And so in the case of Swae and all these other people,
Yeah.
Yo, you got one. Congratulations.
Congrats, bro.
That's it. It didn't mean, oh, you fake that I was hitting you up.
Oh, now you want to be on me because I'm lit. And I'm like, now I'm thinking about like, hold up, you are you that lit? Like you're trying to grow back up, but like,
listen, it's part of the game. What did Mike Jones say? Back then
now I'm hot, they all on me.
And if that's the case, that's how it goes. Back then could have been a year ago.
Yeah.
And it could be also in 2 years when your stuff falls off again. But my thing is, in the case with like McConnen, it's like, bro, I wouldn't want to interact with that guy if I know you did something like that.
I caution myself interacting with anybody who's going to take a screenshot of my words and put it on. I'm like, at this point, I'm like, because I've seen it a few times, like with Jonah Hill and his lady he was interacting with, like, and it's just annoying. I'm like, yo, maybe we should have all phone conversations. But then I know it's people are recording it on the phone. I'm like, bro, maybe we should just have all in-person conversations. Because
bro, they really. Here's the thing.
You make me look crazy out here with these screenshots.
If there's one rule, if we have any interactions, there's a understanding that this happened between us, not for the world consumption. When we're having this conversation. This is a conversation for the world, right? We're literally putting it out for the world to see.
Yeah.
So that's how it should be, but I understand that's an old school way of thinking. So
yeah, I think we went around with this one.
Yeah, that one was a long one. We didn't definitely get to like how to spot the fake friends.
We're gonna have to
do a Jux explained just for that. But yeah, I think we're good here.
Yeah. If you can sign us off, Styles, because you do such a great job.
As always, if you made it this far, you're real in my book. You ain't nothing fake about you. But no, appreciate you. Definitely, if you haven't already, go ahead and give us a like, a follow. Those things matter, as they say, for the YouTube algorithm, but it also just helps us know that like we're on the right path. We're making the content that people want to see and hear. Yeah. So if that's you, go ahead and like it. If not, come back and we might get you something else that you like next time, But this has been another episode of Juxtaposed. We will see you. Stop being fake out there.
Stop being fake out there.
Peace.